Hi, this is Wendy from the Roanoke Public Libraries, and this is part of our ongoing series of Genealogy for the Beginner. In our last few tutorials, we have been talking about vital records. This will be our last tutorial on vital records. After this, we're going to move on to census records. So to recap, vital records are those documents that are issued by a government entity when someone is born, when they get married, or when they die. And we've also been talking about primary source documents. Primary source documents is that original document, such as a marriage bond. And a secondary source is something like an index. It's the tool that you use to find that primary source document. We've also been talking about Ancestry and FamilySearch and how you use those two databases to find the primary source documents. In some cases, you will find only the secondary source on either Ancestry or FamilySearch. And when you find the secondary source, it will tell you where those primary source documents are located. And maybe it's referring you to a county where you could send off for that record, or maybe a state archive. But sometimes you're searching both Ancestry and FamilySearch and you're unable to find any information about your ancestor at all. You can't find a secondary source, and you certainly can't find the primary source document. So what do you do then? Well, what you can do, the next step you can do, is go to either the state level or the county level, those government entities that originally issued those records, and see what information they may have on their websites. Then if neither one of the state archives, Department of Health, state libraries, the county courthouses, if they don't have any information that helps you, what you can do then is go to the local genealogical societies, the state genealogy societies. See if those volunteers have created an index letting you know what is available on the state level and on the county level, and maybe you can use that index to find your ancestor. If that doesn't help you, what do you do then? Well, another option is to use a website called USGENWEB. USGENWEB was started in 1996. It's totally run by volunteers, and this website is organized by county. And every county has a county coordinator. And again, this is all volunteers. So the information by county is different because it depends upon the volunteer running that county. So they can have indexes, they can have wills, they can have obituaries. So it really depends upon the county. I'm going to show you examples of all of this and the kinds of information you can find. And then at the end, I'm going to show you where you can locate your State Department of Health or the state archives or the state libraries. So this is an example of Louisiana State Archive. And so an archive typically will hold the oldest records. Whenever we show the Department of Health, that usually are the most recent records, but archives are typically the oldest records. So Louisiana has created an index both for its death, the birth records, and the marriage records. And they give you an option that if you locate your ancestor, you can send off for a copy of that original document. So, for instance, a non-certified copy for the death record is $5, and if you need a certified copy, it's $10. For genealogy purposes, you would probably just send off for the $5 copy because, you're not using it for legal purposes. So let's go and take a look at how this index is organized from the state. So I typed in Thibodaux, and Thibodaux, they gave me all the results. They said what parish the person died, the year they died, and how old they died. So it's a basic, simple index. And then they give me a link that I can click on and send in my $5 to get that non-certified copy of that death certificate. This is an example of the Tennessee Department of Health. And what they do is you can complete a form and send off the money, and you can get a copy of that birth, death, marriage record. And if it's older than 100 years, they refer you to the State Archives of Tennessee. I do want to point out that every state has different rules and regulations about when they house records in their Department of Health and when they move the records, the oldest records, over to the archives. So you will see different age ranges. So in the instance of Tennessee, it has to be, the birth records have to be older than 100 years. Other states will have different time frames. I'm going to show you Illinois, and I believe theirs is 75 years. This is the state of, this is the Library of Virginia, and the Library of Virginia has a lot of the older records microfilmed, and you can request the microfilm to be sent to your library so you can view the records. So I looked up to see what was available from Amelia County, and I was looking for the marriage records. And if I was looking for a marriage bond from Amelia County from 1735, I would have to request reel number 80. That ILL means that it's interlibrary loan. So, say I live in Wyoming and I need to look at that microfilm, I could talk to my local librarian, I could fill out an interlibrary loan request, and they can ask the Library of Virginia to send them that microfilm, and then I could use my local library's microfilm reader and look at that information in my library. This is an example of a county clerk's office. This is the Cook County of Illinois. Chicago is located in Cook County, and they have the ability where you can request records online. Now, whenever you are looking at a smaller county, you may have to write a letter and send the money via United States Postal Service. You may have to write a letter or email them. But for larger counties, you may be able to request it online. You will notice that because their laws are different than Tennessee's, that they can, after 75 years, the birth certificates are not located at the Cook County Clerk's office. They're moved to a different place, which is probably the archives. They also have record loss because of a fire. When I was talking earlier about the Red Book and FamilySearch Wiki, and it would give the information about the types of records that each county had when the county was established, when they started issuing records, there was also a section about record loss. Sometimes a county will have suffered some sort of disaster, such as a fire, and then those records are lost, and you won't be able to request those records because they no longer exist. So in the case of Cook County, if you are looking for an ancestor and you're looking for a record prior to 1871, it is no longer existing because it was burned up in the Chicago fire. Now, this is an example of the Allen County Genealogical Society of Indiana. They have posted on their website a lot of primary source documents. So you are able to see some death certificates. Now, this is kind of unusual. A lot of genealogy societies won't have posted primary source documents, but many of them have created indexes. So genealogy societies, either on the county level or on the state level, are really good to see what types of indexes those members may have created. Now I'm going to show you USGENWEB. Again, USGENWEB is a volunteer-based website. It began in 1996. The information posted is by county, and you have very active members and very active counties, and then you may have some that have very brief information. It really depends, but I'll show you a copy of. So I'm going to use the click down. You can do you can search by clicking on the map, or you can click here. I'm going to go to Illinois. I'm going to do the clickable map, and I'm going to go to Hamilton County. So you will find some of these websites have a little bit of a dated look. This one, I'm sorry if I'm scrolling too fast. This one hasn't been updated since 2014. So the information would still be good if it's an index and you're looking for historical records, but the websites may not be continuously updated. I'm going to go to, they have a variety of stuff, including a link to other Hamilton County information. I'm going to go to yesterday's in Hamilton County. And if I scroll down here, this website has not been updated since 2011. So it's 9 years old. And they have several things: biographies, Bible records, court orders, deeds, court records, crime, histories, old letters. So she's posted quite a bit of stuff. But I'm going to go to marriages. And when I go to this early marriages before 1850 and I click on here, the link no longer works. So a lot of times when you're searching on USGENWEB and you come across a lot of things, there may be some websites that are not being updated and their links are broken. If that happens, there is a website you can use called Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine. What the Wayback Machine does is it takes snapshots of different websites and they put that information on their servers. And if you put in the website you're interested in, So the one I'm interested in is this. I'm going to copy the link address. And I'm going to post it in there. The Wayback Machine has done a snapshot of that marriage page that I'm wanting to look at. They did a snapshot 10 times between 2008 and 2012. And the most recent one was February 3rd, 2012. So I'm going to take a look at that snapshot. And when I click on that, the information is still there. And that's because the Wayback Machine has saved that information. So if you're coming across something, you're doing your genealogy research and you come across a dead link, use the Wayback Machine and see if the Wayback Machine has saved that information for you. So now I have an index that I can look at. So while I'm here, I'm going to show you a few things. So if you're looking for archives, the United States National Archive and Record Administration has a directory of state archives. So if you are doing research in Alabama, this takes you straight to the archives for Alabama. If you are doing research, let me close that out. If you're doing research and you're looking for county clerk's offices, the National Association of Counties has county information and a link to the county clerk's offices. If you are looking for the health departments, again, the health departments of each state will have the most recent vital records, the marriage, the death, and the birth records. This is a list off the CDC of all the health departments of the different states. If you're looking to see what the different state libraries have, these are the Institution of Museum and Library Services, which is a federal website, has a link to all the state libraries. If you're looking for a list of all of the genealogy societies, you are not going to find a comprehensive listing. However, you may want to take a look at the Federation of Genealogical Societies. While not every genealogy society Society is a member of the FGS. Many of your larger ones are. So this is a good place to search for a genealogy society. So let me go back to the PowerPoint. Here is a list of all of the websites I talked about: the state archives, the county directories, the state departments, state libraries, the genealogical societies, USGENWEB, and that Wayback Machine. So again, these are good resources to use if you are unable to locate that primary source document on either FamilySearch or Ancestry. You would want to go straight to the source, that state that you're interested in. Either go to their State Department of Health, which are going to be your most recent records, go to their archives for the older records, go to the state libraries, see if the state libraries have any information for you, go to the county level, and then you may be able to send off for that a copy of that original document. If that doesn't help you and you're still looking for an index because you can't find your person, you may want to look at genealogy societies, see if they've created indexes for your location, and try USGENWEB because that also is a good resource. So again, this is our last one on vital records. After this, we're going to be starting census records. Thank you.